Welcome in everybody to Unique Wood Projects. My name is Ricardo and this is part 2 of the previous planter build where I show you how to make this base planter. Now while this is a great seller for me, this next one that adds the privacy portion of it is actually our best seller. So we're going to be taking out the privacy up to 6 feet tall in length. The legs go behind the already existing legs of this planter. I'm going to show you how to do that by putting the 3 runners that go across the back of this all the way up to the 6 feet and adding slats. It's very repetitive. There's not much to it. If you made it to this part, this was the harder part of the two. The last video was a whole hour long. And again, this is very labor intensive to do this. This next portion shouldn't be as much, and it definitely sets off this project. A lot of customers tend to prefer this one. So if you stick around, I'll show you how to do that. So for the last project, I feel like I didn't do a good enough job of keeping track of how many pickets we were using. So on this video, I'm gonna solely focus on making sure we keep track of how many of these we're using. We're not gonna be using as many as we did to make the actual base one. But again, I wanna make sure I do a better job about tracking how many pickets we're using. In this particular one, we're just gonna cut the dog ear off of this one, cut 3 sections into 1 3/4, and that is going to serve as our back runners for these. So let me go over to the miter saw and to the table saw and get that cut down. At this point, we have 3 rib boards. Actually, now we have 3 rib boards, and these are going to go on the back side of the planter, right? So I'm going to try to position these best as I can. So keep in mind, in your own workspace, you're going to have to find what's more comfortable for you. This is what works for me. I've done this on the floor before, and it's not the greatest of times to be on the floor with your back. So figure out a way to be able to do these repetitively and not hurt yourself while I'm doing it in the process, okay? So the key takeaway here is, actually here, let me get you closer. I could show you what I was talking about. So previously we had made these L legs, right? And so we want to put it along the back inside leg of this, right? So if you did your last part, okay, the base planter, right? These should be square. And in being square, you just want to make sure that here, they're actually flush up, and you're gonna nail and glue these into place. Now, if this is, again, squared up, then this is gonna be straight and you won't have to do a lot of adjusting afterwards when we flip this over. So at this point, we have nailed and glued this into place. I use a lot of nails. This is gonna be holding some significant weight with all the slats. So I rather go a little bit over on the nails. This is the backside, it's not gonna be seen, just to make sure this is secure. Again, it has the glue, and that's the main fastener here, but the nails help it really to just bond together. So we're gonna repeat this process with the other 2, and then we'll flip this around. So at this point, we have, I just noticed, this is the blowout from the paddle bit on the bottom side. You don't have to clean this up, nobody will ever see it, but if I'm here, I might as well clean it up. So this is the part where we're gonna flip this over, and this is a little unwieldy, but we'll figure it out. And again, like I mentioned in the first video, more than likely you're not gonna be getting a lot of help doing these projects, so you kind of have to figure out how to do these on your own. So the faster you figure out a process on how to do these, the better. So for this next portion, we're gonna rip these down. I'm gonna cut the dog ear off, and we're going to measure these to the previous measurement that I said. And then we're going to rip them down into thirds. Now, I probably won't show you that whole process just because you've seen me rip down enough of these. And like the magic number for these, when you rip them down into widths, is 1 3/4 inches. So as long as you keep to that measurement, you should be fine on almost every part of this project, whether it's the legs, the trim, like the back runners, or in this case, the actual privacy slats that are going to go on the back of it. Just rip them all down and you should be good. You're going to need 6, technically 7. You're going to need 1 extra strip, so 7 of these. I happen to have some scraps in the back somewhere where I know I could just pull one from there, so I don't have to rip down a whole one. The more you do these, the more you're going to have just like scrap pieces of wood just laying around. So let me rip these down and then we'll go back to the planter. At this point, we have ripped down our pieces to 1 3/4 and to match the actual planter length, right? So we want them to be the same length as this in order to match it. So cut 6 picket fences down. And so now we are going to nail them here, right? So our trusty nail gun. I actually have 2 nail guns, but one is on an air compressor. And the last video, that was terrible because it was going on every few minutes. So I decided to not use that today. So typically what I'll do, and especially if I have a helper, I have that helper on one side and I'm on the other side, and we're each just driving home nails on each one of these. So sorry, I had to step away to grab this square. So hope everybody has this, but here, you're just gonna measure this distance from here to here. Hopefully it's the same distance on the other side, but let's check. If my math is mathing, same exact size. Perfect. So what we want is, we want this one to go out just as much here as well. So here, and this is just to start this one. So here, I'll nail this home. We'll just put 1 for now. And now this one, we got to bring this one up because otherwise it's not going to be square. So there you go. Now what I like to do here is, if I could find my measuring tape. This is why I have like 5 measuring tapes all over the place. All right, so what I like to do is measure from here to here. In this case, it is, so from the middle outside to here, it's 24 and a little bit over 5/8. So what I'll do is, I'll go here, 24 and a little bit more than 5/8. And we want to keep it at 5/8. There is 5/8, sorry. So now, this should be squared out, right? Because I measured from here on the inside to here. So now this should be squared up this way. This one will be squared up that way as well. So from here on out, I won't show you this whole process, but I just put these spacers and I'm going to put these here, right? And trying to keep the same spacing. What I do is put one of these here, and this is gonna be my guide here. So here, here. So I'm gonna put some glue, nail this, and we're gonna do this whole section, okay? So I'll come back when I'm finished doing this. Okay, and what seems like a lifetime, I was able to cut that last one. It wasn't in the time lapse, but the last one that was missing, I just had an extra piece of scrap in order to put that down. So that's the last piece that I had to put down, and now I have to get this up somehow. Again, ask for help if you guys have it. I don't actually have any help with me right now. But let me figure out how to get this standing up, and I'll go ahead and I'll display it as the finished product. I knew I'd get it in the end. Got it down from there. So again, ask for help when you can. So this is it, finished product, right? So 6 feet tall. Privacy slats are 3 1/4 inch spaced, and it gives you this type of spacing. So that's it. We're finished here. You could stain this or you could leave it plain. A lot of times I offer the stain for extra charge, just to weather seal it. But cedar in itself is very rot resistant, so you could leave it as is. I have a couple of planters in my household that I just have bare, and they have fared well in the condition. So that's it for the finished product. Thank you so much for sticking around. I know the time lapse is very time consuming. That's the bulk of what this project really is finding a workflow that really works for you. Mine has been to elevate my projects onto the table, just because if you do it on the ground, while it is easier, I think, because you're not going back and forth, it actually really does hurt your back at the end of the day. So when you make quite a few of these, after a while, your back really is complaining. So I would say try to get elevated, even if you have to go around, get the extra steps. I think it's better than being down on the floor and possibly hurting your back. So that's it for now. This is the last planter build that I have for these specs. I might get into doing smaller ones, maybe something a little bit more, how could I say it, like more time friendly, something that you could knock out in maybe 10-15 minutes. For this one, beginning to end is about, I want to say, an hour and a half. If you invest that much time and effort into it, after a while you'll get better at it. So let me know if you have any questions down in the comment. And I have a couple other videos coming out if you want to stick around for the content. So finally, this is the finished product here. Stands 6 feet tall. The base with the drain holes. Thank you one more time for watching. Appreciate you.